Hello and welcome to another episode of All Politics is Local. I'm your host, John Tian. All Politics is Local is a production of the Greater Blackstone Valley Democrats. For more information about the Greater Blackstone Valley Dems, feel free to visit our website at www.gbvdems.org. With me in the studio today is Kevin Tagliaferri from Bellingham, currently running for the 8th Worcester District state rep seat. Kevin, welcome to All Politics is Local. Thanks for stopping in. Let's just dive right into it. Tell my viewers, why are you running for this seat, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Okay, thanks, John. It's nice to be back again. We had a chat here about a year and a half ago.
About a year and a half ago, I think, yeah.
So it's always good to be back here and to talk to your viewers. And I understand that the viewers in my district will also be able to see this as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So
when we finish the post-production on it, we'll get you a copy. You can have it aired all over your district.
Excellent. So, as you mentioned, I'm from Bellingham. I grew up in Bellingham. I grew up with my 5 brothers and sisters. So, between the 6 of us, we've known a lot of people. We've been in a lot of activities. I, of course, have a little bit more to learn about the other towns in the district, but so do the other candidates have to learn about Bellingham. So it's a mutual kind of thing. I've been spending a lot of time knocking on doors in the other towns, so I've been getting to know those other towns as well, and what the concerns are of the people there. This district has been in Republican hands now for the past 6 years. My sense, again, from talking with people directly at their doorsteps, is that they haven't seen a whole lot of progress come back to the district via their representative. Mm-hmm. Now I'm not assessing blame, and I'm not running against the current guy. He's leaving, he's going on to something else. So all I would like to say is that I value hard work. I like getting things done. And I really want to go to Beacon Hill and advocate for all the voters of this district. I hope that I'll be able to bring back the kind of resources that the people in the district deserve. And what I tell them is that I would like to go up there and fight for our fair share.
That's great. Tell me what you think are the most important issues facing voters and residents in this district.
And again, I'm going to go back to what I've heard on the doorsteps when I've been knocking. It's Trump. There's not a whole lot I can tell you, John, that you haven't already thought.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go into a litany of what's happened since this man has become president.
Never mind what's happened since this morning. I mean,
That's it. It is a daily barrage. Mm-hmm. We are being abused almost every day by the things that he does. And I've gone to doorsteps, and when I tell them I'm a Democrat, some of them just look so relieved and thankful to see a Democrat
that's running in the district.
Office.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I saw a thing the other day online. You know how they do those before and after pictures. On your first inauguration day, and then as you leave office, what you look like. Yeah. We're going to have pictures like that, but it's going to be for all of us.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be stark contrast.
Enlightening,
right. Yeah. But the 8th Worcester District is America. We all have our own smaller interests, our personal interests, our neighborhood interests, our town interests, our district interests. But it's America that seems to matter most to people, and the America that we know, the values that we've built up over 230-something years. Pardon my lack of doing math as far as that goes. But people are not happy about that. You can disagree with a president or an administration's policies, but when he needs to couple his actions with vitriol and pettiness and malice, it's just completely unnecessary.
It is malice, yeah.
And that's what's so different. There's a meanness to this,
right?
That is un-American, and that's what's concerning a lot of the people in the district. That's what I have found. So,
and when you say things like the district is America, you look at the Blackstone Valley. Is the heart of the Industrial Revolution in America. Mm-hmm. The first river-powered mill was built on the Blackstone River in this country. And you know, it's just an amazing historic area that we live in. And you're absolutely right. It is America.
It is. And you know, you're talking about what they used to call the hardest working river in America.
Yep.
The Blackstone River.
The Blackstone River. Yeah.
And you know, they called it that for many different reasons, but one of the byproducts of that was that it got polluted.
Yes. Yep.
And so who cleaned that up? Did IBM come in and clean it up? Did Amazon come and clean it up? Did GM come and clean it up? No. We went to the federal government and the EPA. They're the ones that are responsible for doing those kind of things in conjunction with local authorities as well. So this is an example of the federal government now not only abdicating their responsibility, but being openly hostile to doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
So the Blackstone River never would have been cleaned up under the environment we have today.
Right.
And going forward, it's going to be more up to the states to try to safeguard and keep clean our environment. And not just our environment, but if you look at the other areas where the federal government is abdicating or is you know, opposed to their own departments, you look at the Department of Education as well. I mean, this woman has virtually no experience in doing what she is doing.
Not only that, but she's never attended a public school.
Correct. And so, again, it's going to be up to the states to try to make sure that we're educating our students to the highest quality we can, despite what's happening in Washington.
Right.
We have the Consumer Protection Agency that was created by, it was basically the brainchild of Elizabeth Warren, created under the Obama administration to do what? To protect ordinary people and to help them protect their investments after so many of them basically got robbed by Wall Street. What's wrong with a consumer watchdog agency? And yet the guy that's head of it, when he was a congressman, voted to kill it. Mm-hmm. These are the kind of people we have in Washington. This is why we need more influence within the state so we can protect our citizens and better advocate for them. And that's what I want to do, John, as a representative, is to advocate for my people. I've been an advocate all my life, well, all my career, I should say. Mm-hmm. I've been advocating for kids for at least half my career and even beyond that. I'm an attorney now, and I practice criminal defense, but I represent a lot of kids. And what the main duty I have is to make sure that people's constitutional rights are protected. Yes, I represent criminals sometimes. They have done something wrong, but it doesn't mean that their constitutional rights can't be protected.
Absolutely.
And I make sure that I do that.
Absolutely. You look at our history. You look at John Adams defending the British soldiers involved in the Boston Massacre. You know, that's a case in point of what America is and what America's all about.
That's right.
You know, you see things like that, and you see what's going on in Washington now.
Yeah.
It's really, really ludicrous what we're facing.
And he won that case, by the way. It didn't hurt him politically, apparently. But yeah, that's America, and that's what we've grown accustomed to, is that kind of thing, and it's being threatened every day. And I think people are hungry for some kind of a way to express that. And if it's voting for me, if that's going to help them feel that way, then I welcome that.
Well, I think you'd be a better representative than what we have had in your district for the last couple of years. Let's talk a little bit about your district. It consists of 4 towns. Mm-hmm. You've got Bellingham, Millville, Blackstone, and Uxbridge. Each town has its own challenges, faces its own uncertainties, more or less. Where Bellingham has a better tax base than others, what do you see as ways that you can help? Say that some of those, I would describe them as maybe bedroom communities. Millville, Blackstone are more bedroom communities than they are real hubs of industry.
Right. Well, I think the main word that I keep leaning on is balance. If you want industry, but you also want a quality of life, you need to find some way to balance that. Mm-hmm. And the environment and the economy are also in that mix as well. Let's not forget the fact that many people that live in these bedroom communities moved there because they wanted to live in a bedroom community. Mm-hmm. They wanted to maybe get away from overdevelopment and a lot of industry. So that's why they live in a place like that. But they also need to understand that it's not sustainable unless everyone is bound together to support that idea of,
we're all in
quality
this,
of life.
We're all in this together, and people seem to forget that sometimes.
Right. Millville is a sad case in point right now. It's looking like it's probably going to be a state receivership situation. They've already lost vital to them. Trash pickup, the town no longer does that. They've actually shut off streetlights, and they closed the senior center.
Right.
Which puts now an extra burden on the Blackstone Senior Center. Not that they don't love having the folks come over, but it's additional people who need additional transportation.
And additional services,
exactly,
et cetera.
right.
Yeah, it all costs money.
And it's because Millville has not been able to attract or maintain or sustain not only an industry in their town, but the infrastructure to support it. And I wonder if this had been addressed more forcefully 10 years ago, if they'd be in better shape than they are today.
Yeah, sure.
And I think as a state representative or any kind of an advocate like that in government, you have to have that vision of the future and what a situation could end up being. And I don't know what's going to happen with Millville, except that I see the state probably coming in to take over.
Wow.
So that's too bad. My understanding is that the town administrator, who I thought worked tirelessly to try to avert this problem, is moving on. I think she's done what she can do, and I believe that she's moving on. She's kind of a casualty, too, of this whole thing, which is a shame.
That's not Jen Callahan.
Yes, it is.
It is? Oh,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow, that would be a shame. Jen's a good woman, and she's a tireless worker, tireless advocate for her people. She used to represent this district.
That's right. I
Right.
remember her.
Yeah.
Sure.
So let's talk a little bit about infrastructure in the district. What do you see as infrastructure needs?
Sure. Well, I think one of the most common complaints I heard from people is that the roads are a mess, which is true, but at the same time, I've been doing a lot of walking this summer, going door to door, and I've been walking on a lot of paved roads, too. Now, someone from Uxbridge told me that all the paved roads are the state roads. They're nice and newly paved, but once you get to the town line in Uxbridge, it all falls apart. And there's some truth to that. Like I said, I've been walking around. So, everyone wants a smooth road. There's no question about that. But let's be realistic. We can't do it for everyone, nor can we do it all at the same time.
Right.
That's what construction projects can tend to do, is to kind of tie things up. But, I think that it's really more of a local problem, but the local people should be able to look to the state for some help if they're falling behind with maintaining roads and sidewalks. And don't forget bridges and dams as well. You just mentioned the Blackstone River. That
Right.
needs to be maintained.
Sure.
That's part of the infrastructure as well. So, again, I think that that's something that a state rep could possibly have some influence on in improving and helping to continue to develop the infrastructure in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So,
one of the things that pretty much everybody who's talking local politics these days, I've obviously been doing quite a bit of that, quite a bit of talking to a lot of different folks. Everybody's talking about the school funding formula. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on what the school funding formula is about and how we could possibly fix it?
right. Yeah, well, the school funding formula came out of the Education Reform Bill of 1993. It's that old. It's 25 years old. At the time that they developed it, they didn't give too much thought to the cost of health care, especially for retired teachers, never mind current ones. Mm-hmm. Nor did they give enough thought to the cost of special education and transportation. And again, those are two more examples of something that should have been seen. Well, I guess it's easy for me to sit here and Monday morning quarterback, but it is something that perhaps should have been in the long-term scope of the folks that developed this formula. It seemed to work out okay in the beginning, but anything that's 25 years old has got to get tuned up.
It's dated, yeah.
Exactly. Now, in the budget that was just passed by the legislature, the overall education budget was increased. So that is a good thing. However, they didn't get around to revamping this formula. And it was a disagreement between the House and Senate, and I talked to a couple of representatives that I know, and it basically came down to that the House is a little bit more conservative than the Senate happens to be in many ways. But the House was actually waiting on more definitive data before they could put a dollar sign onto the formula. The Senate, their position was pretty much, well, let's just do it anyway, and then when the numbers come in, then we'll make an adjustment. Both of those positions, I think, are reasonable, but they weren't reasonable enough for them to come together and get it done at that time. So that's how close they were to getting it done. Now, I expect these figures will come in by the next term, and I hope to be a representative in the legislature when those numbers come in, and then we make that move to move forward and revamp that formula.
Yeah, advocate for change that's going to help the towns out here that really do need it.
Exactly, yes. And you know, Millville right now is in a very difficult situation where they need to pitch in a little bit more for Blackstone Valley High, Blackstone Millville High.
Yeah, they have the combined school district,
exactly.
Right? Blackstone Millville.
Yeah, and they each have their own obligations, and it's a situation right now where Millville is probably going to have to cut another position from their town, in addition to the many that they already have, just so that they can pay their share into the high school that they're supposed to.
Yeah, and from what I understand, also the regional school districts like Blackstone, Millville, they're suffering from increased transportation costs that are not covered by the school funding formula.
That's correct. And again, that was special education and transportation kind of go together. But yeah, and then along with the healthcare costs as well. So, but yeah, you're right. The regional districts get really raked over when it comes to the transportation costs.
Yeah, and gasoline never gets cheaper, it seems, or it costs more and more to keep the buses on the road, and
it does,
and all that good stuff.
It does, and the economies of individual towns can change for the better or worse. And Millville's the worst, and I'm assuming that maybe Wellesley's the better. I don't know. We always pick on Wellesley for being too rich, but they're so easy to pick on for being so rich.
There they are.
There they are.
So we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's talk about your candidacy. Why do you feel that you'll be the best choice to beat the Republican in the general election? We do have the primary coming up. That's going to be on Tuesday, September 4th, right? The day after Labor Day.
That's correct.
And being the day after Labor Day, I would suggest to all of my viewers get absentee ballots and vote because it's going to be difficult, with kids being back in school, et cetera. That day is kind of a tough day. But tell me about your candidacy and why you think that you'll be the choice.
Thank you, John. And I'm probably going to vote absentee myself. Oh no, I probably shouldn't vote absentee. I'll be there. But I think that the day of the election has been getting enough coverage that people know when it is, because a lot of the coverage has been kind of negative.
Right. Exactly. People are complaining because it's the day after Labor Day.
But at least they know when it is. But John, I think that when I compare myself to my opponent, I just simply have more experience than he does. I'm a political junkie. Probably you are too. I mean, since I was a kid, it's just always interested me.
Well, right. Your last appearance on the show, I think you and I just sat and talked about Washington politics for an hour. It was a great show. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But you and I are very much the same when it comes to being political junkies. Yeah.
I did. I enjoyed that too. And of course, that led me into getting involved in politics. And I've been involved in campaigns and things of that nature for a good part of my adult life. And currently I'm the chairman of my town Democratic Committee. I'm also a member of the Democratic State Committee. And in addition to that, I help with campaigns and do other door knocking and phone calling and things like that. And I've just, I think that that's worth something.
Sure.
And one of the byproducts of that also is that I now have relationships with most of the state reps that surround my district.
Sure.
Okay,
sure,
you have Brian Murray in Milford and Jeff Roy in Franklin.
Yep.
Jim Hawkins in Albury just got in a special election. He's seated right now. Jack Lewis in Framingham, and I look forward to working with those guys to do what's good for the region. I mean, I think what's good for the region is going to be good for the district as well. But I think I have relationships with some of these people, and I think that helps me as well to be the candidate to beat the Republican in November. So I've got the experience, I've got the relationships, and I've got the fire in my belly, as they like to say, to do this. I really look forward to doing it. I like being an advocate. I like sticking up for people, and I like helping people. And in my talks, just chatting with some of these representatives, they've told me that the overwhelming bulk of the work as a state rep is doing constituency services.
Sure.
There's a lot of things to do, but that's what you really need to concentrate on. And so if people from my district call my office and say they need help, hey, that's right up my alley.
Right, that's what you want to be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, as Democrats, we believe that the government can and should be a force for good in people's lives.
Exactly.
On the other side of the aisle, they have this notion that the government is just the worst monstrosity ever.
Unless it gets into the bedroom, then that's
exactly. Then it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I don't understand how America can be the greatest country in the world and the most exceptional country ever, and yet our government can't do anything right. That seems to be that they hold these contradictory thoughts in their head and just think that everything this is the way it is and everything's fine.
Right.
I don't get it. And when you advocate that government shouldn't do anything, well, why are you running for it then? Why do you want to be part of something that you think is absolutely awful and doesn't do anything right?
Right.
I don't get the whole mindset. I don't understand it.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think government should go in and do everything either, but there are certain things that only government can do. Jeff Roy likes to tell the story of the Hoover Dam being built out west.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, who's going to build that? IBM? No.
No.
You have. That's something that the government does because it's good for all the people. It's not just good for the people that live around the dam. It's good for everyone.
Right.
In the long run.
Right.
Not to mention the fact that the government actually does have some expertise in some areas that private companies don't. And
Right.
we need to take advantage of that.
There's so many candidates these days. You hear them saying, "Oh, government should be run more like a business. It should be run more like a business." Be careful what you ask for. If you want your government to run like a business, maybe I'll get elected and say, "Okay, I'm going to mandate that everybody has to buy one of these, and I'm going to charge $100 for it, and it costs me $1."
Right.
And you got to buy it because I just passed a law saying you got to buy this.
Yeah.
You got to be careful what you ask for. To the extent that government can be run like a business, it really is already negotiating with unions, providing benefits for your employees, all that kind of stuff. I think to the extent that the government can be run like a business, it already is, and it's really kind of silly to think that business is the end all be all.
Right. And you're right. I mean, look what we have now with this alleged businessman. And to the extent that he is a businessman, he's actually a failed one.
Right.
He's a real estate tycoon. He's not a real businessman. But I'm glad you brought that up because I think of that all the time. The purpose, the one and only purpose of a business is to make a profit.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, they hire people. And those people get paid, and that's great. And yes, they make good products, and it makes our lives easier. But those are all byproducts of them making a profit. If they don't make a profit, they're not in business.
Right.
Not so with government. The purpose of government is to serve the people, not to make a profit.
Right.
So when people, you can't have a business model overlap government. It just doesn't work. And
Exactly.
nor would it work the other way. So. Again, I'm not for government solving every single problem. I think we need to put our heads together and see what we can do first. But if government has the expertise, if government has the funds, if government has the will, then let's go and do these things. We've done some great things in this country over the centuries.
Sure, we landed on the moon.
Yeah.
We landed on the moon in the 60s.
Exactly.
I sometimes argue with people online who insist that it didn't happen, which is a whole lot of fun because, I'm just asking questions. Why didn't the tires melt on the rover?
Yeah.
What were the tires made of? Perhaps they were made of something that wouldn't melt. Maybe you should look into this.
Right.
But,
yeah, I see a consistent pattern with the conspiracy theorists, and it's that all they do is ask questions.
Yeah.
You can do that all day long.
You can do that all day long.
Okay.
How about you go find some answers?
Exactly. Give me some proof, and maybe I'll come to your side. But if all you got is questions, that's not good enough.
Yeah. So in your last couple of minutes, why don't you make an appeal to my viewers, actually your viewers, because you're going to get this onto the cable stations in your district. Make an appeal for why they should vote for you on the upcoming primary, September 4th, and then on Election Day in November.
Okay, John, thanks. Well, I think I touched on a little bit. The main thing I want to let the people in my district know is that I want to be your advocate. I want to fight for our fair share of resources on Beacon Hill. I want to work with the others up there for the good of the region, for the good of the district, but I also want to be part of being a legislator in the state of Massachusetts. This is a great state. Of course we've got our problems. Of course we have things that we need to work on. But we have led the nation in so many different ways. And what's a better time to lead the nation right now than to show that our American values are still alive and well, and that other states are welcome to maintain their American values too, because they see that we're not afraid to stick up for our own. I want to represent the people of my district because I think that they deserve their fair share. Again, I want to be your advocate. I want to fight for our fair share.
Yes.
So there you go.
So if somebody wanted to find out more about your candidacy, you have a Facebook page, Twitter handle, website, how would someone find more about you?
Well, I have a Facebook page. You can just type in my name and it would pop up.
Okay.
If you can, well, I suppose if you could just type in Kevin for Rep, you might find me there. That's Kevin for Rep is my Twitter handle and my Instagram.
Okay.
And as I tell people, as soon as I can find a teenager to maintain it for me, I'll have a web page.
Well, we'll put your name correctly spelled
Okay.
in the lower thirds on the show, so at least people will have an idea of what to look for.
All right, Kevin,
All right, Kevin, it's been really great having you here. Really appreciate you coming in. So
right.
Good luck on the campaign, and I hope it all works out for you.
Thank you,
You've been
John.
watching All Politics is Local. All Politics is Local is a production of the Greater Blackstone Valley Democrats. For more information about the Greater Blackstone Valley Dems, feel free to visit our website at www.gbvdems.org. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Good night.